Good morning, Sonder family. Happy day after the candy coma. It's November 1st, and it's so great to welcome you to your weekly setup. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area. I get to be your on screen facilitator this morning as we get you going with this journal with our new week, our new month. Very excited. Everybody go get your cup. Look, I've got my extra large cup of coffee this morning, and it's a little chilly and a little rainy in the Dallas, Texas area. Make sure that you set your chat to where it says everyone. That's how we'll communicate with each other. I know, Priscilla, you're right. We did the monthly setup last night. I said some of y'all went to bed with me, and some of y'all will wake up with me. So we're really, really glad that you have carved out this time for yourself and your journal and your Sonder community. Yeah, we had a Sonder sleepover. Maya is in the chat this morning. She'll be my co-facilitator as we dig into this weekly setup. And so if you need anything along the way, ask your question in the chat and she will do her best to point you in the right direction. And I found this graphic like last night and I thought, "Oh, that's so perfect," because some folks are like, the Mariah Carey, "It's time." We made it through Halloween. Lots of folks like to just sort of skip over a little bit of the Thanksgiving holiday and jump straight into Christmas or Thankmas, Thanksgiving, but yeah, here we are. So, yeah, but it's that holiday season is definitely, I think once we hit Halloween, we are in it to win it. So there are the community guidelines we always show you to make sure that we are creating safe spaces, kind spaces for one another. If anyone is here for the very first time, just put a me in the chat so that this community can give you a big welcome. I'm sorry, I looked out my window, there was a squirrel like right there, and it kind of startled me. Squirrel. Anyway, we want to make sure that we know that you're here. I see lots of familiar names. If you come, yeah, Nicole, lots of us are here for the thousandth time. Nicole's hitting them all, y'all. She's been home, and this is some of her connection. But we all have, you come to these enough, you get to know the names, we get to know the stories as we're comfortable sharing, and we really do. Someone had talked about what a kind community this Silk and Sonder community is. It's good for us to be part of this. And even though it's virtual, I think the things that we put out into the world to one another are so genuine. And this is just a very positive, uplifting place to be. So I encourage you to keep coming back. Hold yourself accountable to your journal by setting these appointments with you and showing up at these socials. So, again, let's get into our new theme of kindness. I love that it hits during the month of November and all the gratefulness that we have in our life. And I just think, there's never enough kindness. So I love that we're going to be able to dig in this month and find ways that we can take kindness into the world, but also how we can be kind and loving to ourselves so that we can be better for the community that we belong to. Our agenda this morning, we're going to jump right into that mind map. We have 4 weeks. I've got some example or my example to show you. And then we have our rosebud thorn reflection to look over what this past week has brought our way. And then we will get into our weekly setup pages. I know many of you know exactly what you're going to do, but you're here for the accountability piece. But I will also have some ideas of repurposing. Some of these spaces, you're always invited to use the journal just as it is, but we will show you some ways to incorporate other things that might work best in your life. I'm a gardener, and I say during peak gardening season, there's always a designated space or two for gardening because it's a big part of my life. Also, this is being recorded, and so you may be watching this on the YouTube channel. Maya will be sharing that. If you haven't already saved that as a bookmark, you might want to bookmark the YouTube channel so you can easily go and rewatch any social that's ever been done in the Silk and Sonder world. Sometimes, we just have rough days, and maybe you need to go back and watch a social on an old theme because that is something that you're wanting to gravitate to. I know that, like with the themes of bravery and resilience, we did some deep digging, and so those socials are there for times that you might not feel so resilient, and you want to go grab and rewatch a social and rework pages to kind of work through whatever you're going through. So we're going to do that weekly setup pages, and then we'll be out. I love this graphic. Kindness is free. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere. So we're going to just, make our kindness glitter as we dig in this month. So we love to do this mind map. If you're new here, it's your bonus prompt for being at a weekly setup. It's not found in your journal. You will choose a place to respond to each one of these prompts each week. We call it a mind map. We put it all together. So it'll consist of 4 questions, 1 question per week for the month. You can do this anywhere in your journal. You might have an extra journal that you do some of these extra things in, but we want to explore this quiet thing that lives within us. This idea of what is kindness? What are those gestures you do? It says it's the inner anchor of empathy that connects you to others. We know that there are people who don't have empathy for others. I can't imagine a world like that. And then there's some of us who have been given a double dose of empathy, and we have to learn how to manage that. You have wisdom that you gain from moments of genuine connection. We're going to explore that. And then the light that you carry also illuminates the path for others. So again, that idea of loving yourself, being kind to yourself, and then that lights up your community, your world. You show kindness to the people that you interact with. So these weekly prompts are going to guide you to look at kindness not as just a simple act, a simple action, but a valuable practice that will shape past, present, and future self. All right, so let's dig in. So, our first week one is what specific acts of kindness, given or received from your past, instantly bring a warm, grateful smile to your face. Think of specific times, places, or people that bring that smile or ache, sometimes that nostalgic ache to your heart. Childhood summers, old friendships, family rituals, first loves, songs that take you back. And so I love the graphic this month. I love this little Aesop quote: no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. And so there are some tips for setting this up. Now, I use the shapes that are on the graphic that you so that inspired my page. I'm on page 58. It's toward the back of the journal. You can find a blank space anywhere in your journal, your weekly scratch pad. Maybe you go from week to week to week using your weekly scratch pad. You could do this on sticky notes, use your definition page, maybe the covers. Pages 28 and 29, if you were finishing up October, those are a couple of spaces that are available to you this month. Maybe you just use a notes page. And then a hint is to trace your driver's license, or maybe cookie cutters, or I keep a can lid in my desk. Let me see if I can find it. To trace spaces to do our responses, because I kind of like, but this month I was inspired by that first graphic you saw. And I responded to mine, I've got this little guy who lives on my desk. It's a worry worm. You can see him in the picture. This was one of those little random acts of kindness. It was left in a public restroom in a medical center when I was taking care of my mom after she had stroked. We had lots of different doctor's appointments. And I found this little guy laying on a counter with a little note. It's a worry worm. And it says, if you have any worries, take him and let you be reminded that there are people out in this world who care. And so I thought that was such a beautiful act of kindness. So I wanted to share my little worry worm. Some other things that came up for me is I was a school director for years and years and years and years. And there is a mom who had four children in my program. And when I moved up here, her kids are all big and grown. And I moved up here, and she said she was teaching a class of new moms at her church. And she thought of me and she found my number and she sent me this random text thanking me for the work that I did for the staff that we had created this beautiful place. And she just went on and on and on about how meaningful that was for her family. And so that surprise text was something that just moved me. And it came to my mind immediately when I read this question. Um, when I was working, sometimes I would just have surprise cups of coffee left on my desk from someone. I never knew who, lots of people. I like to leave quilted hearts in the community. There's a little program called I Found a Quilted Heart, and it just says, I need a home. And it's got the little hashtag IFAQH. I found a quilted heart. And it's just spreading that little amount of joy and kindness. So there's a few of mine that I wanted to just share with you because it makes me happy to talk about. I can't wait to hear what you bring to our time together. I'll go back to this first slide. So that you can see, there we go, our kindness mind map. And I can't wait to hear about the moments in your life where you just felt that beautiful kindness. And I'll tell you, once you find one thing, the rest are going to start pouring for you. I loved reading what you shared in the chat, and it made me kind of think about when the things that we really love and see kindness in, we could also take a look at like our own personal love language because I think some of those things hit just right. Like Nicole shared, she loves words and notes, and I'm thinking, I bet Nicole, one of your stronger love languages is are words of affirmation. Tell me if I'm wrong. I love acts of service. That just speaks volumes to me. And it made me think about like I found this little worm, but I found it and thought of the creation of this more than the object itself. And so, yeah, so kind of think about maybe how your love language plays in to the kindnesses that you've received and also given to the world. That just kind of came to me as we were working on this. So thank you for starting your mind map with your community this morning. I'm going to invite you now to work on your rosebud thorn reflection, which you will find on page 30 in your November journal. And I just loved this little graphic. It's happening for you, not to you. And I thought, what a great way to embrace those thorns that might have come our way this week. Those thorns are the things that did not go well, that presented challenges. A lot of times they're things that we wish would not have happened at all. Maybe there's some places that you need more support. And you can think about what can you do to turn that thorn into a bud. Where is the learning from it? What is it's happening for you. What's the lesson there? The buds are what could bloom in your world. Um, what are you looking forward to? What's something that's kind of new and you're excited about? We have a little mama at church who's expecting, and I'm part of a quilt group. And so I received the top. Someone pieced the top. My job is to layer and quilt. And then we have a third person who's going to bind it all together. And we're going to be able to give that to this new mama. So I'm excited about that. And then the thing I'm so excited about today, the rose of my week, is my best friend gets married this afternoon. We did wedding flowers day before yesterday. It's just been a couple of really great days. So I'm going to put on a little music, and we would love to know what the week brought you. Where do you need more support, or what are you celebrating? I really love this activity because I think it is truly when we work on this reflection and then share when we're comfortable, it is really one of the things that builds this community because we can be who we are. We can share those thorns without judgment and we can celebrate roses and buds together. So thank you for taking a moment to do that. Now let's dig into that weekly planner and get you set up so that your week is the week that you want it to be. So we'll be on pages 32 and 33 this week. I believe that's correct. Yes. So let's get the first week of November set up. So I pulled a couple. I always love to do show and tell from y'all. So thank you for posting in Sonder Club. We love to see those. Oh, Claire, my gosh. I bet Claire just posted that her son got a speeding ticket going 104. These kids and their prefrontal lobes that are not baked yet, right? Goodness. I'm glad he's okay, but I know you probably just want to wring his neck. Okay, so that was definitely a thorn, but glad he's the roses, he's alive to take care of that ticket. Yeah, Mags, thanks for posting that because then that gives us opportunities to share, to show and tell. So you can see, I always like to just point out how different pages look for everyone, and how folks will set this up. So the one over there on the right that Mags did, she's kind of got her to-do list where the goals would go. And then she's also created a weekly bingo. And what a fun bingo that was it for this week, Mags? Because it's got some good, your spooky movie and you're wearing a costume and you baked a fall treat. I bet your kitchen smelled delicious. So yeah, that's fun. A little fun weekly bingo there in addition to the weekly to-dos. And then her habities, that's those habits and activities. Maya was talking really fast one day at a setup and habit activities came out as habities. So we love that. And I love, Mags, that instead of setting a goal, the one on the left has goals set. They wanted to do these things every single day of the week, but you were just like, do your best. Go, girl. You got this. So I love that, taking that pressure off. But sometimes writing a goal down really works for us. It really just, take what you need, right? The one on the left has those three major goals and then some to-dos over there. And I think too, just, using tape, using markers to outline these spaces can kind of bring a pop to your page if you feel like you need that. Yeah, Maya, you know what? Habity should be like that word of the year that, the dictionary comes out with every year. And they said the word of the year, I think it's 6-7 this year. It should be habities for the Sonder family. So we're going to begin by manifesting what we want to feel like this week. What do you need from this week? And I love this quote. We're going to have lots of quotes through this month of kindness, but be kinder to yourself and then let your kindness flood the world. So maybe you'll just put kind. I want to feel kind in this. Ooh, I love delight. That's wonderful. We've got a couple of words there in the word cloud. Maybe something popped up for you. And yes, Jennifer, I actually have a Huga challenge to share with you in a little while. We are entering that time of slowing down, this rhythm of our days, the wintering season, and nothing better than embracing Huga vibes. There's not a right way or wrong way to do this one. You can put as many words, you can do a quote, you can do stickers, whatever it's calling to you. So share in the chat like what you want to feel this week. This phrase, with brave wings she flies. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, so we're gonna manifest our week by deciding how we want to feel. Now we're going to start with our three major goals and lots of ways to do this. I'm going to point you back to take a look at the pages that we just worked on, those intentions pages, maybe that monthly habit tracker wheel. Perhaps they can inform the goals for the week. Personal challenge for the week. We love that. So maybe there's a spending challenge or a hygge challenge, or a decluttering, health, rest. So you can kind of thematically set your goals. And then I know many of us just love plugging in to like three things. So we choose one of, something like revive, relax, and reconnect. We write those three and then we plug in a goal that fits under those categories. So sometimes categories are a really good way to frame that out. And then, of course, it's the month of November. And so I want to talk about creating no goals, those things that we take away, that are not serving us. We say no to in the month of November. And I always try to embrace this month. Like, what needs to get out of my life that is cluttering it up and not making it the way it needs to be? So I'm going to encourage you to embrace November and do some elimination rather than taking on. That's also a good way of leaning into being cozy and slowing down and wintering, just kind of getting rid of the excess. So I want you to maybe go take a look at page 8 and see what you said you wanted to stop this month. That's a great way to frame out November goals. So go and look at what's on page 8 for you, and perhaps you see that show up in your goals. Also, the idea of SMART goals. If you haven't been employing the SMART goal technique in setting goals, this is a good one to grab. Maybe grab a screenshot or a picture of it. It helps us make very specific goal choices. They need to be measurable. So, how do you measure success? What is success? Like, I want to lose weight. Well, what does that mean? Well, maybe your success is I want to lose 2 pounds this month, right? Very specific, and measurable. Make sure they're attainable. Like, I could want to get more physically active, but I will never run a marathon. So attainable, that would not be an attainable goal. It needs to be something that I can do given my circumstances. We want it to be, of course, relevant in your life and time bound. So maybe like by the end of November, this is what I want to see. And also the idea of micro goals. So we say things like, I want to get in shape, but what is a micro goal? That is that more getting it smaller. And so that could look like my goal is actually walk around the block during lunch, or read 25 books is a big goal, but perhaps we break that down into a micro goal of reading for 5 or 10 minutes before bed every day. And Maya actually shared in her personal Instagram account the other there's it's like a November reading challenge to where you read every single day, and there's three like standards. So like the big is 100 pages a day, but you could set goals like that. And then there's those no goals. So what do we need to stop? What do we want to say no to? What do we want to say? I'm not going to do this. Don't, the don'ts of your life. And you can see that these are, there's 5 things on the left, there's 4 things on the right. So you don't have to do just 3. We've got, doing again like that personal challenge. So you can see how these are set up, that kind of theme of the week. And I'll go through all of these while we're working on this page. And then there again, we're seeing those categories. So lots of mind, body, soul, left brain, right brain, no brain, let go, leap and learn. And then your goals can also go tie directly into the to-do. So your to-dos could kind of be, here are my steps to get to this particular goal. They can also just be random to-dos. Again, it's about taking what you need. So I want to talk about this one that's down there on the bottom right, because those to-dos, we're going to see how they tie in a minute. They tie into their goal directly, right? So yeah, we're on page 32, Terry, and we're talking about our goals and our to-dos. So the weekly major goals, this there all of these those goals tie into the to-dos. There's a bingo board for that. The one on the bottom left, there you can see how they're doing a little daily check-in with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they can have accountability that way. The one above that, same thing. There's these little check marks to hold yourself um, accountable. But again, pay attention to this one that's kind of on the bottom right. You're going to see it again in just a few minutes. Also, you don't have to put goals in here. This is a great place with the grid to make a checklist, bingo boards. You can just do like the one at the bottom. We're talking about self-kindness. Look at the self-love reminders. Maybe that's what you need to see when you open this page. Perhaps you do a little routine there, like the one on the left where it's a time bound, at this time I'm weighing in, I'm getting my coffee, I'm exercising. So again, it's all about taking what you need. And then our to-do list. Let's look at that. Lots of folks will divide this into different categories and plug their to-dos into that. And using techniques you have seen, if you've been here before, you've seen the Eisenhower matrix, you've seen the Pomodoro technique. Perhaps you make a dread list of things that you haven't done and you need to get them done. It's like they keep getting moved from week to week. Self-care could go here. A not to-do list, leaning into that idea of November. Maybe it's just your things you don't want to forget about this week. And you can reframe this out by creating a to-do list and writing in things as you get stuff done. Maybe you need a to-be list. Again, we're going to reference that to-don't list. I love the one in the very center there, how it's divided up into the things they need to do. They need to make some calls. They need to run errands. There's some follow-up space there and the things that are on their schedule for the week, as well as that mini bingo board. And now we're going to drop down to that bottom section, the habit and activity section. Love this cozy vibe quote. What you pour in is what pours out. So fill yourself with good. I thought that worked great with our kindness theme. So lots of ways to set up your habities. You can set goals. The one in the upper left there, they're actually setting time frames for their goals. So 10 minutes of mindfulness and meditation, 20 minutes of self-care journaling, but also permission to take a break if you need it, like the one you see below that. I love, like the middle upper one is that gamification of doing something 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sort of making a countdown for yourself. When we can make it fun, sometimes that feeds that part of our brain that needs that little extra kick of happiness there. If you look at the middle one on the bottom, it's like 3 things that we're tracking. So that reminder that you don't have to use this space, or you can just track a couple of things, or you can fill in all the spaces. It's really what you need. So remember, I told you to pay attention to that one, goals and to-dos. Well, the to-dos, one of the things that we're seeing is plan and prioritize. And so then they took that into their habit tracker. So it says, did I P and P? Did I plan and prioritize responsibilities? Did I plan and prioritize my recreation and rejuvenation? So they've got those things planned out. Their goals informed their to-dos, and their to-dos that you see there are tied into those those habits at the bottom. So it's all tied in together. Um, we love to see your examples. So thanks for sharing in Sonder Club, Jennifer. Appreciate that. And then, yeah, so I'm going to put on some music, go back through all these slides. If you saw something you like, take a screenshot of that, and then we'll get on with that second page of our setup. righty. As you are finishing up that page, we're going to go ahead and pop over to our second part of our setup so that we can be sure we get these pages covered. Again, a little show and tell moment of a couple of different pages from our Sonder family members. The meal plan space on this page often gets the most repurposing. I think we've all seen. You may still do a meal plan. You may put like your main meal over in the Mind Body Health plan or the shopping list. But you can see both of these examples have repurposed their meal planner space. So we've got affirmations. The one on the left, the one on the right is kind of that daily reflection. What was the best part of my day? What was the worst part of my day? And I believe they're using their water droplets to kind of scale their day, rate their day on a scale of 1 to 8. How did it go? And they're going to color that in and just sort of track the vibe of the week that way. I love the Mind Body Health Plan on the left. It's just kind of in this little pumpkin shape. And then maybe as you complete those things, you can color that thing in until you have a completed colored pumpkin. And that can be done with anything, any kind of shape. And then below that, their shopping list is kind of their remember this list. The one over there on the right, their Mind Body Health plan is being used for how they're going to move their body this week. So everything listed is movement, right? Keeping your body nice and strong. And then below that, their shopping list has actually been turned into this idea of a duality mind frame, looking at what do I need less of and what do I need more of this week. And so taking I need what do I need less of, and then pairing it with something that's going to bring good stuff their way. So less scrolling turns into more reading, less sitting turns into more movement, and less junk food means that they're being replaced with veggies and protein. I think we should all maybe incorporate that box this week. It's really speaking to me. And then I love their loving box, the lack of social media in my life. I love that. And erasable pens. Yes, we love erasable pens in this journal. So like I said, you can use your meal plan for your meal plan. You can see an example here of how someone has done that. And then we have a lot of repurposing. So everything from a cleaning plan to doing quotes and stickers to maybe noticing the one healthy thing you did that during the day. Perhaps you plan at kind of have your weekly plan all in one place here, like the example you see. This is also a great space for a symptom tracker. So this person's using it to track glucose, but you could also use it for other symptoms if there are some things going on. And I always say a tracker has everything in one place, which is so good to give to your medical provider. The idea of a post-it note is so cute to maybe put your journal reflection on the post-it note, and underneath is your response. This week's self-care plan. I guess I really like the quotes and stickers because there it is again. And then someone over on the right is going to lean in, embrace those 7 types of rest by focusing on a particular type of rest every single day. So that's always good to pay attention to. Then we'll slide over to the Mind Body Health Plan. And everything I'm showing you for this page could just be put in any of these spaces. It's not exclusive to the Mind Body Health Plan or the menu plan. You may end up putting your to-dos in that menu plan. Maybe you do, your intentions go in the menu plan. The person over here on the bottom right has used this Mind Body Health space for their intentions. We always like to bring up the little mini a check-in with self. How do I feel? And what does that say I need? And that little check-in is good for starting your day, for maybe doing a midday check-in, for maybe finishing your day. So it's kind of what works for you. I also, the one right behind that up in the upper middle there says 5 minutes for me. What could you do for 5 minutes? What could you plan to take care of yourself? One on the bottom left, it says move and meditate, just making sure you're doing both of that. Love the idea of just putting a good quote here that's going to guide you. Oh, I love that, Heather. Again, thank you for sharing in Sonder Club so that we could share with everybody. And you did that with our theme of resilience. So love that. And these could be you may do the same thing week after week after week, but you may also change things up from time to time. So that's why we like to share all these examples. And then the one up at the upper right is just this little check-in with some self. Some things that are going to help this person take care of themselves. Read a book, do the daily ritual, do the affirmation. Let's see. Again, some more ideas. We have a lot of movement happening there on the left. Uh, just a little brain cloud, little word cloud of things that you could do, like the one you see over there on the right. And then during like bravery, that theme of bravery, but it doesn't have to be exclusive to the theme. But this person did, what did I do today that was brave? So maybe you do a kindness mindfulness moment. What did I do today that was kind? Or where did I see kindness shown to me today? Just again, kind of being a little more mindful with our days. Now, there's that Hygge challenge on the left I was telling you about. You might want to incorporate this into your week somewhere. Maybe this goes in the meal plan. Some ways to fill your cup. I love the self-esteem journal. That's a great mini reflection, post-it notes, and then maybe write underneath it respond to something I did well today. I felt good about myself when I had a positive experience with. So those mini reflections just give you those good hormones when you sit and you take moments of mindfulness to do that. Some more, you'll see these kind of things. I love to share these things that we can just take a screenshot of and figure out a place to incorporate it in our journal. Again, the one in the middle there is that little mini check-in with self, a little mini journal reflection. And then the weekly intention there on the right just sort of themes out our day. And then we have the shopping list. And again, any of the things you see in the shopping list, you may end up using somewhere else. But a lot of creative ways of using this space. And then you remember we had talked about that space about recreation and rejuvenation. And so there is another little mini bingo board that this person is going to call upon to make sure that they are taking time for just, refreshing themselves. A quote of the week is always great here. We've got these wonderful little quotes that live at the top of our setup pages. So maybe, they show up somewhere in your journal. I love the one I've been sharing this lately, the idea of framing out your to-dos or your goals with mustard, ketchup, mayo, and pickle. And it's the ketchup is or the mustard is what you must do. The ketchup are things that you want to catch up on that maybe you got behind in. The mayo are things you may do. They're not critical, but it's kind of a fun way to set up some of your to-dos. And then the pickle is a pick one. And I always put something, a couple of fun things that I like to do. Maybe go to the library, that kind of thing. Also on this shopping list, look at the one on the bottom right. Such a great idea, especially now with the prices of everything going up. It's like, okay, I'm going to go take an inventory of what's in my pantry and fridge and write that down so that I'm looking at it and I can be creative with my meal plan. And it keeps you on track with grocery spending because you know what you have. And when it's all in writing, you can easily go and plan out your week. And then again, some more just fun things. Maybe you track a Wordle. Bingo boards usually go in this space for me. If you're having a birthday, I know we saw a couple of birthday folks. Maybe you do a birthday bingo and you just put in some fun things that we're doing it. And yeah, Maya saying she loves the idea of doing that food inventory. I told my husband, I said, sometimes I feel like our freezer is just a collection. Like we're collecting, we get stuff on sale and it gets dumped in there and then we forget to follow through with pulling it and being intentional. So Um, Maybe you do a doodle space somewhere on this page. And then finally, while we're working on this page, I'm going to challenge you to drop in the chat. What are you loving right now? Have you discovered a new book, a show, a product? Is there a person you're loving? Are you loving this new theme? Just drop that in the chat while we work on this page. And I'm going to go back through all of these and we will work on this and then we'll close out our time together. Y'all, this never happens because I am such a chatty, chatty person, but we are gonna finish on time today. Thank you so much for coming this morning and starting this fresh new month with Maya and me. We would love to see your setup or maybe a part of your setup that you've repurposed in Sonder Club. So please share that in Sonder Club or on Instagram. And if you share on your Instagram and tag at Silk and Sonder, you may see it on the Silk and Sonder account as a reposting. So that's kind of fun. Just that shout out to our personal coaching, Jenny. This has been so helpful for folks. We always like to remind you of that. And then there is our playlist from this morning. I'll drop my kindness playlist. I'm on Spotify right now, so you can grab that if you want to kind of build your own playlist of kindness for the month. I think music really does set the tone, and may you find joy on the journey in a thousand little ways you didn't expect. Isn't that a lovely kindness quote? So yeah, y'all make it a great day, a great week, and a great month. And we will see you soon.
I love me. I love me. I don't know about you, but baby, I love me. Now everybody say, oh, I love me. I love me.
They gon' say all kinds of things. They'll make jokes about my name. They gon' try to clip my wings, but I'm gon' fly. They'll try to play me like a game. I bet they're too scared of the fame, but I can see it clear when I'm looking in the mirror, saying God made me just right.
I love me. I love me. I don't know about you, but baby, I love me. Now everybody say, oh, I love me. I love me. Cause I'm sexy and it ain't my fault. I ain't waiting on nobody's call. You don't want me, baby, that's your loss. I'll be fine.